Frank. How are you?
Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here this morning.
Thank you.
Well, we always are looking for people who do really interesting things. 52 years working as a volunteer firefighter. That's a long time.
That is a long time.
It is. It has really been a labor of love, starting in Palm Desert and now in San Diego County, and have transitioned from still running the Mount Laguna Volunteer Fire Department as board chair to running the San Diego Regional Fire Foundation, which supports 30 of the volunteer fire stations in our county.
How many are there?
Well, there's 30 volunteer stations. Interesting, San Diego County has 250 fire stations. When you look at all of the city stations, the federal stations, Camp Pendleton, the Forest Service, the Navy around the harbor area, you got CAL FIRE, but 30%, 30 of the volunteer stations cover 60% of the county's geographical area. They respond to about 6,000 calls per year. Their big issue is they're not tax-based like the city fire departments would be.
Well, let me ask you a question, though, real quick. Let me jump in. If you're a volunteer firefighter and you're at your job, whatever it is that you're doing, and there's a call, do you leave your job and go play firefighter?
Right.
It depends. If you live in the community and work in the community that you're with the department, generally, yes, you will drop your job and go to the fire. Now, we have, in our rural areas, not that many job opportunities. A lot of the people live outside of the area where they live and are a volunteer, and therefore, they generally cannot respond immediately. Now, when we have the large cedar-type fires, everybody responds. And people will take 3, 4, 5 days off work sometimes. Sometimes,
are employers open to that, or do they tax people vacation days essentially?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, before you start working for a company, do you kind of preface, hey, by the way, I'm also a volunteer firefighter?
You let them know you're a volunteer firefighter, and when there's something major, you do need to respond. And usually it's without pay. It can be vacation days if you have them available. But what we've done is we've really put a great system together with 400 volunteers, and they are at the point now that they do duty days. They're on duty 24 hours a day. So there are 2 to 3 volunteers at each station every day to handle all the routine calls. So the volunteers who are at work that day generally do not have to respond. It's only when you get a major incident.
How trained are volunteer firefighters in comparison to professional full-time firefighters?
Well, career firefighters, of course, get their training through the department where they work. The volunteers have a very good training system in conjunction primarily with CAL FIRE, because they're out in the rural areas as well, and a lot of training there. The firefighters are all EMTs when they become to the departments. They go through their Firefighter 1 Academy. They have a basic introductory one put on by the county. They will go to the same paid academies that a lot of the city departments do, Heartland out in the El Cajon area. The cities out there go to it, so do the volunteers. And we are very competitive in how we do in those academies compared to the paid firefighters.
And you guys are funded how?
Well, our funding is we get $30,000 a year from the county. We get a small amount of tax money. So basically, we have enough to pay for insurance and fuel, but when it comes to buying equipment, we don't have the money. And that's where the Fire Foundation has come into play. We have raised and provided to the community over $4 million for the volunteer firefighters to buy everything from fire hose, early days even just tires for their fire engines. But we have been able to buy 3 fire engines, 2 ambulances, so there's some big ticket items. But it all comes from money that we're able to raise during the course of the year. So that's why we are dependent on the businesses, the individuals in our community to contribute to us so we can turn around. And we normally do $200,000 to $300,000 in contributions every year.
Wow.
But let me ask you this, how do you find people who want to be volunteer firefighters? Because if you lived out in a small town and you said, hey, I want to be part of the volunteer fire department because I live out here and it is a small little area, and if something should go up, we don't have a fire station. It's kind of my local responsibility. But you, in your profession, you were a vice president with Sempra Energy, right?
Yeah, I was their senior vice president controller.
Okay, and how long? You did that for how long? That job?
36 years.
Okay, and so the whole time you were a volunteer firefighter. Did you work in downtown San Diego?
I did.
And Did you have to go out and fight fires in places far away?
Well, over the course of the years, I would do my duty days. I'd be up at the station. But on the
I'm trying to figure out how you recruit volunteer firefighters.
Well, you get volunteer firefighters for two reasons. One, they have the interest in their local community and giving back. They live and they work there and they're available. But the bulk of our volunteers in San Diego County are wanting to be career paid firefighters.
Gotcha.
So they need the experience and the training to give them an upper hand. So when San Diego City, for instance, has openings, you may have
they're already
800, 900 people applying, but the volunteers come in with the experience and the training. They move to the top of the list.
Smart.
Most of our volunteers, 80 to 90%, become paid firefighters later in their career.
No, at any point in time, did you want to go from volunteer to firefighter?
No, not really.
You're like, no,
I had a nice job with Sempra.
I had a job offer at a paid fire department in the county.
I was going to say, after so many years, I'm sure they were like
I
trying
did,
to recruit
but
you.
I opted not to, and I pursued my other career. But we really need the community to help the volunteers.
So here, to help the volunteers, sdfirefoundation.org, sdfirefoundation.org. People donate money, help you guys buy equipment, help fight fires and keep these firefighters safe. It's really amazing stuff you guys are doing.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, all the volunteers love giving back to the community. We're in the rural areas, and we really are trying to make a difference so we don't have another Cedar or Witch Creek fire. Get the fires when they're small in the rural areas, get the firefighters trained with the equipment so they can do that job.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Thank you
for being with us
very much,
today.
Frank. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Well, my pleasure.